Hi, I'm Dr. Shah. I was the National Lecture Competition winner in 1989 and I'm the Maths Master at Maths School. Now, ready for a new way of doing maths? Word problems in algebra. So we're going to learn to convert the English in a word problem into maths. So if you see is, am, are, that would be an equal sign in mathematical notation. And, some, greater than, longer, heavier, those kind of things are a plus in mathematical notation. Minus, less, difference, less than, below, those sort of things would be a minus sign. Multiply by, product, and of are all multiply by signs. Divide, shared, per would be a divide by sign. Times itself is another way of saying squared, so that would be square. And sometimes you'll see consecutive numbers. Well, consecutive numbers, if we call the first of our consecutive numbers n, then the second of the consecutive numbers would be n plus 1. So n would be an unknown number, n plus 1 would be the next number on from that. Similarly, if it said, instead of saying consecutive numbers, if it said an even number, and we didn't know what the even number was, we would call it 2n, the 2 in front of it, making sure that it's even, because whatever n is, it will be multiplied by 2 to give us an even number. And if we wanted an odd number, we would call it 2n plus 1. Make it even, add 1, that will ensure it's odd. And if we wanted consecutive odd numbers, then if our first odd number was 2n plus 1, then to get to the next odd number, we'd have to add another 2 to that, so it'd be 2n plus 3 would be our consecutive odd numbers. You don't have to do it as 2n plus 1, 2n plus 3. You can also do it as 2n minus 1 and 2n plus 1. So in other words, subtracting 2 from that one to get your other odd number. Okay, so let's move on to some examples where the question is written in English and we have to convert it into mathematical equations before we can solve it. Okay, so this is a typical question where we've got to convert the wordy question into maths before we can solve it. I think of a number, multiply it by 2, add 6, and divide the answer by 3. This gives 10. We have to find the original number. So this original number that we don't know of is our unknown number, so we're going to call that x. So starting with x, multiply it by 2, so I'll put a 2 in front of it, that's multiplied it by 2. Add 6, plus 6, and divide the answer by 3. Divide by 3, and this gives 10. So this gives means equals 10. Okay, so I've converted the question, which was wordy, into an algebraic equation, which I can just now solve using my flow diagram method. So x, next to the x is a times 2, then there's a plus 6, and then lastly there's a divide by 3 before I get to the equal sign, equals 10. So the first thing I want to do is get rid of the divided by 3, which is times 3. So that and that cancel out. On the left hand side I'm left with 2x plus 6, and here I get 3 times 10 is 30. Opposite of the plus 6 is to subtract 6, so I'm going to subtract 6 from both sides, and so that gives me 2x is 30 subtract 6 is 24, and then my last step is to divide by 2 both sides. I run out of room on the bottom there, so I'll just carry it on up here. 2x is 24. Divide by 2, divide by 2. That's the opposite of the times 2. And that should take me back to the x. So the times 2 and the divide by 2 cancel each other out. I get x is 12, and there's my answer.